turn it right here. Tell me an opinion that you have about something. Just one opinion that you have about anything at all. Just share an opinion. Anything. Share an opinion. Share an opinion. Share an opinion. Share an opinion right now. Just off the top of your head. Share an opinion. Anything. Just one opinion. That's all I'm asking. Share one opinion right now. Share. I don't have an opinion, and that's why I just like everything that everyone else likes.
Assassin's Creed died like 10 years ago. Is that a hot take? I don't know. I feel like Unity, as bad as it was at launch, was still, in my opinion, an Assassin's Creed game with a damn good parkour system. Since then, there's been a number of open world games with Assassin's Creed in the title, and that's about it. As much as I loved Origins, Bayek being one of my favorite protagonists since Edward Kenway in Black Flag, parkour felt like a neutered dog, and I was in so much combat, I felt like I was breaking the second tenet every 5 minutes. By Odyssey, nearly everything in the series was stripped bare and made into a grindy open-world fantasy RPG. In Valhalla, a shock to literally no one, doubled down on most of what people didn't like about Odyssey. Social stealth? Yeah, my ass. What little Assassin's Creed elements they shoehorned in felt like a slap in the face to fans that wanted to see the series return to its roots. I personally haven't played Mirage, so I can't speak much on whether or not it's faithful to the series, but from what I've seen, it just doesn't seem worth my time, not even in a morbid curiosity kind of way. So what about Assassin's Creed Shadows? Why should anybody be excited for this game? Now, I'm not going to talk about how we should have had a Japanese main protagonist for a game that takes place in feudal Japan that has been marketed repeatedly as being historically accurate. Apparently now, just the act of noticing reality and then pointing it out makes you a political activist. In this video, I want to talk about why Assassin's Creed Shadows as a game won't convince people to open their wallets. Video games are the ultimate form of escapism. Very few things are more immersive than an open world. We're at a point where the gaming industry has surpassed all other forms of media combined. Because of this, games are just getting bigger and bigger. Chances are, if you play video games, you probably don't even watch television anymore. I don't have a Netflix account. I don't use HBO Max or Disney Plus. I have my Steam library, and God knows I'm never going to finish all the games I already have, let alone anything new coming out. Every time I see a new open world game, I think to myself, yeah, but I still haven't finished Elden Ring yet. I still have Cyberpunk 2077 sitting in my backlog. I'm just now making my way through Tears of the Kingdom. And I know I'm not the only one with 1,000+ hours in Skyrim that hasn't even touched the main quest yet. One thing that has killed Ubisoft games for me is the fact that they just take way too much damn time to finish. After playing Valhalla and failing miserably to stick with its bloated main story, never mind its repetitive gameplay loop that never changes after your first few hours, I just have no reason to get excited for what Ubisoft has shown us so far. When I seen that last trailer showing off those huge landscapes, I wasn't thinking, man, this looks so beautiful, I can't wait to explore this world. No, I'm thinking, God, I'm going to be setting my horse to autopilot and leaving the room in between missions after I realize they didn't fill the world with anything interesting to find. Every time I play these games, I fall into the same repeating pattern. I realize that the game is pretty to look at on the surface, but shallow and empty underneath, so I turn the HUD off and think to myself, well, at least I can try to get immersed in this game. Until I realized that the game world is completely structured around the cluttered UI on the screen and I can't navigate without it. There's no visual points of interest that I can use to reorient myself. So then I just say screw it. I'm going to stick with the main quest and ignore all the copy-paste content that Ubisoft likes to artificially fill their games with, until I realize that I'm starting to fall behind on levels, and if I want to progress through the story, I'm forced to do all the copy-paste content. And this back and forth kind of happens for around 30 hours until I finally put the game down and just play something else. If Ubisoft by some miracle happens to survive the launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows, I really hope to see them publish more games like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, another game maybe in the Rayman Origins series, or even games like Ancestors: Humankind Odyssey. Does anybody remember that game? I find it kind of hilarious that I enjoyed those games more than the recent Assassin's Creed games. You know what's funny? Is when I see your different tiers of games, and the base game is $70, but you're over here saying, you don't want this one though. That's not the good one. That doesn't have the entire game on it. What you want is the one for $110. That's the best deal. That one comes with the season pass for your single player game. Or, just hear me out now, you could get the ultimate pack for $130. This one comes with everything from the other versions, but also has a set of super legendary pants or some shit. It's really like they think we're stupid or something. Like we've never gotten large fries at a McDonald's before. You know, you buy it because it seems like the best deal, but you get sick after eating it and realize that it was garbage the whole time. The only difference between Ubisoft and McDonald's is that McDonald's doesn't outright tell you their food is garbage. When I see on the far right that I can play this game for $17.99, it's the same thing as Ubisoft telling me how much their games are really worth. Instead of waiting a year and buying the game for its ideal price of $20, why not give it to them now and then cancel the subscription as soon as you're done with the game? No doubt Ubisoft hopes that we forget to cancel our subscription so they can leech money off of us. But here's the thing, why the hell would anybody spend that amount of money to just play Ubisoft games, when they can just spend nearly the same amount of money with Game Pass and still get to play Ubisoft games? I just find it kind of strange that the average person like myself could ever feel like they could run a better business than $1 billion company. I feel like anybody that plays video games could run Ubisoft better than themselves. I mean, shit, Splinter Cell, Beyond Good and Evil. You literally have the ticket to make an open world Assassin's Creed game and put all the fantasy shit in it. Just don't call it Assassin's Creed. Call it something like, I don't know, Prince of Persia. Oh my god, it's genius. An open world game with parkour and mythological boss fights that doesn't upset fans while still capitalizing on brand recognition? Impossible. You know why Elden Ring has sold 25 million copies? Because From Software made a quality product with a specific audience in mind. And as far as I know, there weren't any microtransactions, season passes, pre-order bonuses, or anything like that. I'm pretty sure the version of the game that I got was the same version that everybody else got. You greedy bastards. You told us to get comfortable not owning our games. Well, it looks like people are finally taking your advice, because seeing how badly Star Wars Outlaws flopped, it seems like a lot of people are comfortable not owning your games. And that's really the biggest problem, is that Ubisoft doesn't know who the hell they're making their games for. Because you can't make something for everyone. That's just not how it works. Not even Mario. Nintendo's mascot is for everyone, because there's always going to be that person that just doesn't like platformers. People that play Assassin's Creed, they don't want to ride around on horseback for hours on end and just soak in all the sights. Especially when the horse riding feels like shit. Hell, the horses in Assassin's Creed 1 were better than the recent Assassin's Creed games. Nobody gives a shit about a country-sized map with a bunch of rolling hills. We're trying to parkour across rooftops and do side ejects and back ejects and shit like that. Not all this press A to go up bullshit. In the older Assassin's Creed titles, I felt like I was making constant decisions on how I was going to get from point A to point B while looking as cool as possible. Now it just feels like I'm moving forward in between objective markers. Don't even bother bringing back the modern day either. That shit is just straight up cringe. I honestly think that every modern day story after Desmond has been terrible. Also, every dual protagonist has been awful too. I don't think anybody would have batted an eye if Syndicate just had Evie as a main protagonist. Instead of having Alexios and Cassandra, we could have had one single fleshed out character like Bayek. And the writing in Valhalla is so bad that NPCs refer to you as a female no matter which one you pick in the beginning. Obviously, they made the Shinobi Assassin character to appease the old fans, and the Samurai character is for the action RPG fans of the series. And who knows, they say they're delaying it to make sure it's a polished product, but I just don't see it, man. All I can see is the same old song and dance that we've been seeing for the past 10 years. You know, recent news surrounding the flops of Concord, Star Wars Outlaws, and soon-to-be Dragon Age Veilguard and its character customization. I mean, these are pretty big games. Or at least they seem to be. It's pretty easy to see why Assassin's Creed Shadows is getting so much attention, and not in a positive way. I mean, if you look at their mentorship program, and the fact that they denounce half of the world's population, and that doesn't even raise an eyebrow, then I think you're a fucking idiot. But at the end of the day, companies have to make money. I think these companies are finding out really quick that people don't like political bullshit being shoved in their face. I also think we need to relax and stop looking at everything under a critical lens. I feel like people are starting to believe that the only thing that determines whether or not a game is successful is if it's woke or not. We're over here losing our minds over top surgery scars, which I think is fucking stupid. Whoever did that is sick in the head. But we're also forgetting the fact that BioWare has been releasing turds for a while now. Anthem, Mass Effect Andromeda, those were not good games. But we're supposed to hold our breath for Dragon Age? I just don't get it. Assassin's Creed Shadows could be the most based, masculine game ever made, and it still wouldn't save it from the problem of the bloated open world with a million map markers, tacked on RPG mechanics designed to waste your time in order to trick you to spend more money because of sunk cost fallacy, and just a mediocre gameplay loop that never evolves throughout the game's runtime. That's what these games have been for a while now. It has gotten so bad that in my last video on Assassin's Creed, I watched it back and I kind of noticed I was doing the same thing. I was using all those buzzwords that everybody else has been using online. And I kind of have to catch myself because it's easy to get involved in all this shit. It ends up being this vicious cycle of consuming all this content instead of actually playing games that are good and worth our time. And that's really what I want to drive home, is that there's so many good games that you haven't even played yet and you wouldn't even be able to finish in your lifetime. Newer games, indie games, even all of the retro titles that we have, which I've been playing a lot of on Steam Deck. You could never possibly play all these games, and they're all great. So what I've been thinking is just this. When you really think about it, the only thing you're missing out on is bad video games. And that isn't really that bad.